All right. And we should be live. So hello everyone. As you're coming on in, just let me know that you can hear me. Say hello. I just check in. And let me know that we're all good. Gonna wait, like we said, just a few minutes to make sure everybody that wanted to join, that wanted to see Sant Jordi, can get in. Hello, Kelsey. All right, we're in. Perfect. I think we should have some others joining us as well. We'll get started. I hope everybody's excited. If you guys can, leave a little comment. Let me know if this is your first Sant Jordi day. Let me know if it is whatever number, right? So if you've been here before on this day, April 23rd, let me know if you've been before. And if it's your first time, welcome. Welcome to everybody. I hope we're super pumped. It should be pretty fun. And it's a beautiful day today. I don't know if you can tell right now we're in the shade a little bit, but it is a beautiful day. Just a sound check. Everybody can hear me well. The microphone is working. We're good to go. Somebody, when you get a chance, type that in the chat. 450 Thai, hello to you as well. Happy Sant Jordi. Just to make sure before we get started, everybody can hear me. All right, so we got first time. Hello, hello. All right, perfect. Paige, thank you. Looks like you guys can hear me. Hello, Shay. Hello, Nicole. I am Goose. Hello. All right, and we're just gonna wait a couple minutes. Glory Rain, hello as well. Happy Sant Jordi to everybody. We're gonna wait a couple minutes here, and then we're gonna get started. So just for everybody, the idea, if you've read the description or if you've seen it, the idea is we're starting off where I am right now is the Plaza Real. I'm gonna show you guys in just a minute what's going on over here because this is one of the stops that they've opened today. And then we're gonna head up La Rambla. We're gonna get closer to the Plaza España, or the Plaza Catalonia, excuse me. And then we'll make our way into the newer part of the city, and we'll see a couple of the different stops along the way. The Plaza Universitat, we'll just see how kind of timing is and everything, because we'll see with the walk how that goes. All right, Baroque and Jay, hello. If everybody's pumped, we're gonna wait. All right, it's 3:05, so we're gonna get started. Hope everybody's ready. And like I said before, this is a little bit of a live Sant Jordi. I know there's a lot of people that wish they could be here in Barcelona. So I thought, hey, how can I, what I've been trying to do with my channel and everything is share Barcelona with everybody that can't be here, get you better prepared for your next trip. But I thought, how can I share Sant Jordi with everybody? How can I celebrate with everybody? So we're doing the live. So I hope you guys enjoy. Anybody catching on the replay later, you'll still be able to have seen kind of what's going on. I'm gonna flip this camera around for you guys. You can see we are in the Plaza Real. Anybody that caught my tour that I did in the Gothic Quarter, so it had to be almost a month ago, in March, we actually ended up in here, and you can see that it was a lot less busy. So a lot of things going on, and you can see just from that beautiful sun coming in that it is a lovely, lovely day. All right, so I like to say we got a little lucky, but Sant Jordi tends to be a very nice day here in Barcelona. The weather yesterday was not so great, and it looks like next week we've got some really bad weather coming in. So it's to have just one day for you. So like I said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get in, we're gonna check out a little bit of this, and as we're walking place to place, anybody has questions, leave those along the way. But I want you guys active as well, so I'll be asking some questions as well and giving you a little bit of a history of the day, kind of what it would look like on a normal year, because it's a little bit different. We're gonna try some things out, try some new things, so I hope you guys really, really enjoy. But we are in the Plaza Real right now. You guys can see everything behind me, that light coming in. Chris, good to see you in there. Of course, I'm glad you're here, and I hope everybody enjoys. Just a little bit of a background for everybody. Sant Jordi, every April 23rd. I put out a video just the other day all about what that all means, but we'll talk about that legend of St. Jordi in Catalan, Jorge in Spanish. So if you know anybody with that name today, make sure you give them a good congratulations, right? Usually the city is packed. There's books, roses, all sorts of different things all over the city. Today, obviously, with the pandemic, we've got a smaller event, but there are still quite a few people out. So it is kind of nice just to see the city kind of alive again. But what they've done this year, instead of having these bigger kind of areas where there's just people all over the place, they put up 11 different spots where we can see all of the different books and even the roses. And so one of them is here in the Plaza Real. So we're going to jump in. I'm going to switch my camera back over. If you guys have any questions while we're walking through, feel free. But you can see that what they do is they have all of the different bookstores coming out, and they have different stands, okay? And you also have not only the bookstore right here, La Central, one of the bigger bookstores in Barcelona, but you also have stands for roses. You can see all sorts of different roses that are put in there, okay? And this all goes back to basically the idea of St. Jordi, all right, and the legend of St. Jordi, which is really, really popular over here in Catalonia. And so that legend, if we don't know, does anybody know the legend of St. Jordi? What happened? I'll show you kind of some of the books we've got right here. If anybody knows that legend of St. Jordi, maybe you can help me out. I did a tour with a group of kids the other day, and I had them tell me the legend. And they really, really enjoyed that. They acted it out and everything. It was really, really fun. But if anybody knows that legend or what happens, why it's big, throw that in the chat right there as we kind of pan around the plaza and get a good idea of Plaza Real on this beautiful, beautiful day. Glory, no. Never heard of the legend. Don. He became the legend. Well, he is a legend. He is a legend. But I'll help you guys out a little bit if we don't know the legend of St. Jordi. St. Jordi is the patron saint of Catalonia, and what's really famous over here is that they say in the town of Montblanc, which is in Tarragona, they have huge celebrations over there every year, that St. Jordi basically hears that the princess is in trouble. Now, the princess's village had been under attack from a dragon that was killing off all of the livestock. And when it finally killed off all of the livestock, in order to keep it at bay, not to kill everybody, they started basically a lottery system, and they sacrificed a person every day. And when it got to the princess's name, all of a sudden we've got a problem. The king is very upset. He doesn't know what to do. Nobody's going to take her spot. And so she goes along with the dragon. And just as she's about to be eaten by this dragon, St. Jordi comes riding along. Do a little demonstration for you guys. Comes riding along on his noble steed, takes out that sword, stabs the dragon, saving the princess. And out of the dragon's blood, they say came a rose. And he takes that rose, gives it to the princess, and I always like to say they lived happily ever after. So you'll see all these roses all out because basically it's become a Valentine's Day. So what you guys will see, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of people out. It's lunchtime, a little bit later, but still around that lunchtime. So it's like Valentine's Day. A lot of people just meet up, but also maybe some dates right now. Remember, we're not open for dinner in these restaurants. So you get a lot of people that are out right now celebrating that lovely Valentine's Day with the rose. And so you'll see roses all over the place as we're walking around. You guys can see different types of roses, and a lot of people will be carrying them. It's tradition for the women to be gifted a rose on today. And this has been something that they've celebrated for, more than a century at this point, giving out that rose, becoming very, very special. So you can see some of the books right here. Now, women traditionally get those roses, and the men are going to get a book. And everybody always, when they hear about this, you guys can see all these books around, right? They always wonder why the book, where the book actually comes in. And it's kind of like a combination of everything. We'll talk about that a little bit later as we get out of this plaza. Maybe you guys can guess why the book is given out. So women get roses. Why do men get books? Because it has nothing to do with that legend. Another thing you'll see are a lot of Catalan flags right here. You'll see those all around. So whoever has an idea, leave that in the chat. Why the books? Where the books come involved? What you think? All right? And again, those that were or saw the last tour that I did in the Gothic Quarter, this was one of those restaurants that I said was always very busy. You can see a lot of people out here today, and the last time we were here it was empty. But this is one of those amazing plazas where you have a lot of sun coming in, all those beautiful palm trees, so it's a great spot to get on down. Nolan, it represents knowledge. That's a good one. All right, let's get some other ideas in there. You guys can see what happens. I'll let you know in just a minute. Let's get some other thoughts, some other guesses. We're going to start to head out of the Plaza Real. You guys get an idea of what's going on here. Like I said, one of 11 different spots. We're not going to get to all of them because it's quite spread out all over the city. Again, just to get rid of all of that grouping so that not everybody's here in the same spot. You can see those books. Again, last kind of stand. And usually there's about a 10% discount on the books. So they give you a nice little incentive to get some books. Don't know if anybody got their book today because it's also World Book Day. A lot of things going on. It's also World Book Day, but that's not the answer as to why the books are given out. Oh, I say that Baroque right there. Just said the same thing. I didn't even see that, right? It is World Book Day, but World Book Day started in 1995. UNESCO made it World Book Day. So that is not the reason why books are given out. This has been happening since before the books, or before the book day, I should say. So if we have any other ideas as we make our way out into the Rambla, I'll kind of unveil that to you in just a minute. But what we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to head out through La Rambla, and we're going to see what it looks like a little bit today. Which has been very empty, usually packed, but it's been very empty lately. But there is a lot more movement on it today. And normally, what you're gonna see, what you would see on a day like this, is just there's no space. All right, so right now, I'll show you guys again. Any last guesses about the book before we reveal it? But you can see that there's actually space to walk. Booksellers wanted capitalize on non-flower gifts. I'm sure that played a little bit of a role in it, right? But that's not the main answer. But like what you guys can see even behind me as we're walking is that there's space to walk on La Rambla. Normally it's just books and stands for roses and books all over the place. So you're kind of like penguins almost waddling down La Rambla. There's just so many people. I'm gonna see if this works out. You guys let me know if I can show you a picture of what La Rambla would look like on a normal day. Does that appear in the screen right there? Found this new option. I can now share images with you. This is the picture that I took. Can everybody confirm that picture comes through? You don't have to look at me anymore. You can just look at that picture. Thank you, Kelsey. Perfect. All right, so guys, check that out. You can't even walk through there. That's from the very beginning of La Rambla, but even down at the point where we are right now, it was going to basically be like that because, like I said, just books and roses all over the place, but so many people coming to this is the main spot. Passeig de Gracia, where we'll go later, is the other. That's what it would look like. All right? So very difficult to move and something that we haven't really had to deal with for over a year now with the pandemic. All right, yeah. it's intense. It's intense, but it's something that, you know, it gives a lot of character to the city. It's something that's really fun. It is personally my favorite day of the year. There's a lot going on, but it gives you that energy. And like I said, it's not something that we've had for a while. Panic inducing, right? Right now, yeah, I think so. I think if I saw a bunch of people around me, I'd get a little bit nervous. I think when we start walking up a little bit more, we'll see more of a gathering, but still nothing compared to what it was before. I think that picture that I showed you was around 2018 or even 2017, it might be. But again, right, 2019 would have been the same, maybe even more. There were more books sold in 2019. And then obviously last year we didn't have the celebration. They wanted to on April 23rd, and it just didn't work out. So they pushed it back to July 23rd, and it just really wasn't the same. So this year they said, hey, we're gonna do it. We're still going to have this celebration, but obviously we're gonna take the measures that we need to take to make sure that it's safe for everybody. If you want to join in, you can do it, but those restrictions. All right, you guys have been patient. You guys have been good. You had some nice guesses. I like that World Book Day guess, but it's from before. All right. Now the celebration of the books here has actually been going on since 1926. Again, I threw out a video just the other day all about it, explaining a little bit more, but it started in 1926, and it was basically the idea to celebrate the book in Spanish, any book written in Spanish. And they had this idea even earlier, 1920, but nothing really got done. All right, and something changed here in Spain in 1923 when Miguel Primo de Rivera took over as the dictator and started to really push a lot of things, all things Spanish. All right, and so when he pushed everything, like all things Spanish, the idea of celebrating the book in Spanish became a really good idea. So they allowed that to start happening in 1926, and that became the big celebration. I'm going to show you guys real quick. Put a pin right there. But what we're getting into is the part of La Rambla known as La Rambla dels Flors. And so you can see this is the main spot where you're going to get some flowers today. And it's really only like professional florists that are allowed to be selling these today instead of just anybody. A lot of times kids would sell for the end of the year, their end of the year school year trip. But you can see that the flower part of La Rambla is really busy, and there's a spot up in just a minute that we'll see as well. Just so everybody knows where we are, if you've been here before, we're right outside of the Boqueria, and that's this part of the Rambla. But you can see a little bit more going on just there. I'm going to try to raise it up a little higher so you guys can see everything. But you get a little bit more action with the flowers and actually lines, and that was the big thing that we used to have. We used to have just long lines of people waiting for books, or even the roses. Did they do anything on the 23rd instead of the normal celebrations? Did they do anything on the 23rd instead of the normal celebrations? Kelsey, can you clarify that question for me? In the past, now, what are we talking about here? And then I can answer that for you. Yeah, so actually where we are right now, you guys can see the roses here, but I don't know if you guys can make out the balconies up top. There's some decorations and things up on the balconies here, and we'll get into some more decorations this year as well. Last year, what they did actually, that was kind of really fun because we were all in lockdown, right? You guys, right, can see real quick. It doesn't look the same as that other picture, but you can see there is quite a bit of movement going on here. So there's a lot more people out, which is just interesting to see. Yeah, the trees are tall here. They make a nice little canopy over here as well. But to answer Kelsey's question, last year we were all in quarantine. We were all confined. We were all in lockdown. We couldn't leave our houses. So what we did for the 23rd is we actually kind of decorated the balconies of your house. So one of the things that they wanted was either you make kind of roses out of your egg cartons, or made roses out of like a yogurt container. You could paint that red, or some of the yogurt containers here are already red. So I just kind of smashed those up. They looked like roses, and we stuck those on the balcony last year. But any way that we could kind of put roses all over your own balconies is something that we're really trying to promote. And that comes from the Casa Batlló by Gaudí, which we'll see in a little bit when we get up towards the Passeig de Gracia, and you guys will see what they do every single year to celebrate. Don't want to give too much away right now because it is one of the best parts of the celebration when they get all decked out, but we'll check that out in a little bit. Mariana, the procession with the giants, they have those like throughout the year and things. I don't think that's as big on St. George, but they do have, you can see, sorry, real quick for you guys, you can see some more balconies with the roses right there. But those giants, those gigants they call them here, you'll see those around for all sorts of different celebrations, right? But a lot of times they do little walks throughout the more of the Rambla. I'll leave that there. All right, so what I was saying before, if we jump back to the book, if you guys remember where we put our bookmark, no pun intended. I can see Kelsey laughing already. You guys, what happened in 1926 is they had the first book day, all right? But in 1926, it was held on October 7th. And they held it on October 7th because that was the day that everybody thought that Cervantes, Miguel de Cervantes, the author of Don Quixote, that was the day that they thought he was born. Kind of got one of those uncertain birthdays. And they wanted to celebrate it on that day, right? Most famous novel maybe ever written, best novel in Spanish. So let's celebrate it on his birthday, all right? And so they did that for about 5 years. And then they changed it. They said, listen, October's nice, but there's better weather other times of the year. And so let's change it over to April maybe, all right? April 23rd coincided with St. George. They already had this rose celebration. So now you can give out the books as well. And it became this kind of idea of celebrating it all together. And it just made this amazing, amazing option for a celebration. Now, what happened that same year, coincidentally, 1931, is they declared, got a lot of pigeons coming, ducking through pigeons. They had the Spanish Republic declared in 1931. So Primo de Rivera, who came and took over in 23, he's gone by 31. They decide to declare the Spanish Republic. And so it becomes this huge day in Barcelona where they're celebrating this new republic that's been declared. And they decide that the 23rd of April, because it's already got the books, it's already got the roses, it's also going to be the day of the Catalan flag, and it becomes this huge, huge moment to where it gets a lot of fame. Now the problem is that just 5 years later, that republic is going to be challenged by the rebels, by the nationalists who tried to stage a coup. That turns into the Spanish Civil War until 1939, and then after that you had a dictator in charge until 1975, General Franco. So during those first couple years of the dictatorship, you didn't have the same celebrations. And it wasn't on the 23rd, the book day was actually moved to some other days, and instead of celebrating them together, you had the day of the Spanish book, and then you still had St. George here, but it wasn't the same. And then they say in 1945, it came back. And since 1945, they've been having these big, big celebrations. Where I'm standing right now, guys, I'm going to turn around for you. This is where I took that picture that I showed you just a minute ago. I'll pull that back up so you can see it. That's what it was. That's what it is today. So quite a bit less people right over there. Thank you, Glory. Thank you for confirming Kelsey laughing there. Terrible, terrible jokes, but that's what I can promise. Yeah, Barcelona and some bad jokes for you guys. Mariana, Giants of the Princess. I haven't seen like a giant like the princess They have some other kings and queens, but I haven't seen the princess and the dragon like as giants. They have dragons, but I haven't seen one that looks like that. All right, so we're at the top of La Rambla right now, coming up on Plaza Catalunya, very center, kind of right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to head up to Passeig de Gracia. Universitat is going to be over in that direction, and it's going to bring us out of our way, and then walking back is going to be, it's going to make this a very, very long trip. So I'm going to head over, show you guys not only La Rambla, but I'm going to show you Passeig de Gracia as well. And I did a tour just this last weekend of the Passeig de Gracia. So if you are interested in any of the buildings or any of the modernist idea within that, you can check that video out, and I'll have more information about those buildings in that tour. But we're going to check that out because it's the other part where it becomes very, very important during the celebration of St. George. All right. Edu's joined in as well. Love the emojis. I hope you're enjoying it so far, Edu. Eduard. Perfect. All right, so if you guys were waiting on the light right here, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to flip the camera back over as we pass one of the big bookstores as well. You guys can see the Catalan flags out on the Café Zurich. It's a very famous bar, just kind of to sit around at, people watch. Very famous spot right there. You can see they celebrated their 100th year anniversary last year. And we're gonna head up over here. You guys can see what the FNAC has out. So apart from the 11 stops, what they've allowed are the different bookstores. Instead of all being in one place, like we said before, they've allowed them to just come over outside, right outside their doors. They can have some stops. So you can see that just right up here. And so they have their own little stops where you can get your books, again, with those 10% discounts. And that's something that's been around for decades now. That's where they kind of started right away at the beginning. So you've got roses, you've got books. You guys understand the idea behind this big celebration. Get a little bit closer, you can see some of the books that are on sale. You can see everybody out here. And then everybody does their big trade a little bit later. What book did the Golden Goose get you this year? I got 2 books this year. I'm excited. I got a book that I wanted to get a couple years ago called El Conquistador, which is all about Jaume I, who was the king of Aragon, Count of Barcelona, in the 13th century. And I think, if I'm not incorrect, the longest to reign. And it's just a really, really interesting kind of narrative by an author that I really enjoy. José Luis Corral. And then she got me another book which is all about art and kind of understanding different textures and all sorts of different things, which I think is going to be really, really interesting. A little bit of a harder read, but you always got to do one for pleasure and one for a little bit of knowledge. All right, someone guessed knowledge before, so it always helps out there. Is there a genre that most of the books are? No, there's not one specifically, let's say. What they do is they do sell, obviously, a lot of narratives, a lot of different, more novels like fiction and things, I guess. But that's because what a lot of authors do is a lot of authors actually like schedule their publishing day close to St. George, because they sell so many books that they can really up those sales. 2019, because obviously last year was a disaster in terms of selling. In 2019, they sold something like 1.6 million books, and I think 2018 was just a little bit less. So it grew in 2019. I think 2018 was 1.5 million. So it's right there, but they sell so many. The big thing is the language, all right? And so you guys know you have not only Spanish, but Catalan as the languages here. And they've really been pushing the idea of the Catalan narrative. So not just the Spanish, but the Catalan narrative as well. And if I'm not mistaken, last year, more Catalan books, they keep a record of this, right? Percentage of how many were sold. More Catalan books were sold than Spanish books. It was around that 50-50 thing. I want to say it was like maybe 51-49 or maybe a little bit more in terms of the Catalan books right there. How are people celebrating at home? They were doing, I think what everybody's been doing a little bit. They've been offering a lot more kind of like sending books home or even sending the roses home. Okay, so if they're staying at home, sorry, I just saw the comment of the golden goose again. I thought that was funny. If they're staying at home, they're just having a lot more things sent to them. But you guys can see there's a lot of people still outside. All right, we're not going to go in this first stop here, Passeig de Gracia. They basically divided it into 4 different sections. And this first one here, you guys can see there's a long, long line. So we would be here basically all day waiting in that. But you can see there's a lot of people that are waiting inside or to get inside. But there's going to be 4, so we're going to try to get in one a little bit later. But I didn't announce this yet, so everybody that's in right now, you guys have made it to this point. It is in the description as well, but I'm doing a special little raffle a little today. So how you can participate is, if you're having a good time with this right now, like the video. If it's giving you any sort of value or learning something, seeing something new with anyone who's here for the first time, then there you go. But you got to subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Patrick Guide Barcelona. You guys should see on the bottom, there should be a subscribe button just over there to the right. Then you have to find me on Instagram, and the link is in the description below. Follow me on Instagram, more than anything, just so that you can send me a message, okay? And later, in just a little bit, I'm going to ask a question. You've got to answer the question right. And everybody that answers that question correctly is going to go into the raffle, and the prize is going to be a book sent to you by me that I bought here on the day of St. George, sent to you. So if you're interested in joining on that, subscribe to the channel. If you guys are enjoying the video, follow me on Instagram and send a picture, send the answer to the question that I will announce a little bit later as we get up towards the top of the Passeig de Gracia. And then I will announce the winner tomorrow. I'll announce the winner tomorrow. I'm going to close off all responses at midnight tonight, my time. Midnight tonight, my time, which if you're watching from the States, remember there is that time change, 5 p.m. in Chicago, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. I always give that estimate to what it is in Chicago. This is what I know off the top of my head right away. All right, so we saw number 1, the first entrance. You guys can see there, and you got some of the bigger bookstores that are in here. They've actually closed down. You guys can see they've closed down the street just right here. But I don't know if you guys can notice in the distance, the next block over, I think it's just these first 4 blocks. The first 4 blocks are going to be all of these different books. What time is it in Spain right now? We started at 3 o'clock, so it should be what, like 3:30-ish, yeah? Like I said, Central Standard Time, we're 7 hours ahead. Almost just tripped there and a lady saw me, so she was laughing at me. That was the whoop. But we are 7 hours ahead of Chicago, so it is 3:35 here right now. All right, we're gonna get across into the next section here, and this is one of my favorite spots. And you guys can see this statue, this little monument here to the guild of basically the bookkeepers here. It's just a giant book in the middle of Passeig de Gracia and Gran Via. We're on the big intersection here. And what's really cool with this, it's a little bit harder to see, is there's all these plaques on the bottom here that are dedicated to different Catalan authors, or even people just from Barcelona. So you get all of those little like silver, all of those silver plaques there just under the book are dedicated to different authors or different poets, novelists, fiction, nonfiction, whatever it is. You've got all sorts of different names that we can see just right down there. So there's all of those names. And this is a spot where I, in 2012, let's see if I have that picture. Don't have it in here. But in 2012, I actually got a book signed in this spot by my favorite author, who is Carlos Ruiz Zafón. So Zafón wrote a book called Shadow of the Wind, which if you have not read, it's an incredible book. And it's set here in Barcelona, my favorite. And his third book came out in 2012, and I got it signed just right back there. He unfortunately passed away last year in June. He had finished his trilogy, and a new book came out, what was it, in December, January, and that was kind of like the last book that he has. There's a combination of all these different stories, but it was really good. I really enjoyed that. If you guys haven't tried out Shadow of the Wind or checked that out, make sure that you do. All right, we got another tram in front of us. Do I ride a motorcycle around town? No. I've got my license for a car, and I'm good with that. But public transportation's the way to go here. Motorcycles, no. I'm not a fan. You guys can see the main entrance to the second stop just right here. All right, and we're going to actually just cross here because it's closed off, and then continue up the Passeig, and we're getting closer to some of the modernist buildings and that surprise that I told you guys I would show you. I didn't want to give away too much about the decorations in the balcony, but you can see what they've done is they basically, this is the exit, but you have the entrance and the exit kind of like a circle around just to avoid crossing right there. Do you have to pay to use the bikes? You mean these red bikes that you guys are seeing in front of me? Yeah, if you live here, you basically just sign up for the year. You pay about 50 euros, and then you have unlimited access. I shouldn't say unlimited access. You have free access for 30 minutes every day, or for every use. But if you go over 30 minutes, they start to charge you by the minute. I think that's how a lot of those kind of companies are working in different cities now. But they have that set up, which is really nice. And Barcelona's small enough to where 30 minutes you basically have your ride if you're using it just to get around. It's not, a bike to go off into the mountains or anything, or take an excursion with. But 50 euros will do that. And they're both electric and normal at this point. They've really put a lot more in this last year. You guys can see in front of me the entrance. You've got La Central again right there. I mentioned that one before. That's probably one of the bigger bookstores. We've got a couple around, a little bit of a chain, but they've got all sorts of options. And then you can start to see some of these buildings that are along the Passeig de Gracia, this idea of modernism. We're going to come up on the most important in just a minute, some Gaudi buildings. So I hope everybody's ready. We're excited. If you're ready to see the Gaudi building, the Casa Batlló, type in the chat, I'm ready. This is a very special occasion. We've got just a block. We're going to walk up as we're passing the third moment here, where you guys can see the idea of more of the bookstores along the way. Normally on this street, they're on the other side. Normally on this street, what you guys have behind me would be more of the different stands. But now they're in the middle of the street. I've closed everything down, but it gives you a little bit more space. And then now all of us over here, we can just walk up and down the street. But you can see there's quite a few people in there. All right. Looks like we're ready. We're ready to go. Like I said, we're just at like half a block at this point. We're at like half a block, and we're gonna get up there. We're gonna get up to the block of Discord, where you have the most famous modernist buildings in Barcelona, and ones that usually get really, really decorated. I'm gonna try to share with you guys another photo that was basically on this street right here. I think you can see it, but again, another idea. What we're coming up to right now, last year, or not last year, 2019, right here, was walking around and got a picture of some of the bookstores that were open. So you can even see that they closed down the street we're passing right now, which is open, closing that down because there are all of these people out for all of the books. So you can see that difference right there. Let's see if I can get rid of this now. So just an idea. And then even just along La Rambla next door is Porta del Ángel, which if we went down to the end, we would get over to, and that's what that looked like. A bunch of books over there as well, a bunch of stalls set up. And you can see, just so you guys get an idea of the difference in what it looks like today compared to a normal year. All right, you guys, we're outside of the Casa Batlló. It's over to the left. I'm hiding it from you guys a little bit right now. I know everybody's ready, but what they do every year is they get super dressed up. And I was really worried this year because I didn't know until like the last minute that they were going to dress it up because it's been closed for so long. That's why you can see all these people out here. I'm gonna try to get over into the shade so you can get some better views, along with the people that are drawing right here. And we're ready. All right, there it is. We'll go over, we'll get a little bit closer as well for you. But you guys can see all of the balconies covered in roses. Isn't that cool? All of those balconies covered in roses. I'm gonna get a little bit closer. I'm gonna go to the other side so you guys can see a little bit more. But before I do, if you didn't see that tour I did the other day on the modernist architecture, this is one of the houses we talked about. Now look at the top, and you guys can see it's hard with the sun, I know, but the top, the roof, I'm gonna zoom in, the roof is like scales. It's the dead dragon's back. Remember that legend that I told you guys? I told you that at the very beginning so we would understand what's going on with this roof. It's the dead dragon's back, killed by the lance, the sword of St. George, that tower on the left. And then throughout the entire house, all of the balconies are gonna look like bones. Now, right now, it doesn't make much sense because they're covered with roses. But all of those balconies usually look like kind of like skulls. Pardon. And what you have is a house that looks like bones, but it's that legend of George, and out of the dragon's blood come these roses. And what you do now, what we have, get a little bit closer so you can see it better. What we have now is that main window covered with all of those roses. And it looks really, really nice. Today what they actually have is free entrance into the bottom, to the foyer, if you will. And you guys can see just onto the inside, they've got rose petals even on the inside right there. But look at that window. So many roses. All like the most famous picture every single year. Yeah, Tan, there are a lot of symbolists. There's a lot of symbols in all of these different buildings. But you can see all of those different roses. And I think this is just like the coolest thing. Now, like I said, I was really worried because I didn't know what was going to happen, if they were going to be able to celebrate, because it had been closed. But you guys get that idea of what it looks like. All right, I'm going to step over just on the side here in a minute. Hope you guys got a good idea of that. But what happened a couple years ago, the building was under construction. Because the building was under construction, they had this like scaffolding on the entire facade. So you couldn't see the facade, and it was supposed to be finished before St. George, but like everything here, it takes a little bit longer than we think. And so what they did is they had covered the entirety. This might be a better spot. There's some opening air space for you guys. You guys can see that facade. Now they covered that entire facade with scaffolding, but what they do here, what it would have looked like. So you would have seen the bones, you would have seen all those different colors in there. And what they did for the day of St. George is they came out and they changed it to that. So they put a picture, a new, so that you could still see the celebration. That was absolutely, just absolutely incredible, that whole idea of what's going on there. So you guys can see that picture of, you can see that picture there of the house before. But now they have it off, and it looks a little bit nicer. Looks a little bit nicer with those roses. So what do you guys think? What's the one that you prefer? Do you prefer the roses you can see now, or do you prefer the picture with the cartoon roses in there? Let me know in the chat. How long does it take to fill it? I think they were just doing it today. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know that answer 100%. I think they were doing it like earlier today, even like yesterday. I'm sure it takes a lot longer to get those roses put together. But they usually, it's just the one day. It's not like something that's up a lot of times for multiple days. And like I said, when they changed out that picture and we had the cartoon, it was just that one day. So they had the scaffolding, the picture, they switched out the picture, and then the next day they switched the picture. So next day they switched that picture back and figured it out, how to get the other one back on there, and just during the night. All right. So there you guys go. We've got a little bit of some modernism in there now, some Gaudi. You got to see the day of St. George here in Barcelona. Like I said, there's 11 different spots where everything is. So we've seen the one here on Passeig de Gracia, we saw the Plaza Real, there is a university, but then spread to other sections. There's one over a little bit further in the Eixample, Arc de Triomphe, all sorts of different places. Some hotels even, to get onto the roof, all sorts of different celebrations that are happening not just today, but even tomorrow as well. We get into that weekend, we'll have some different things going on. If anybody has any more questions, let me know. We're kind of winding down here, but if there's any questions, I'll take a couple minutes to answer some of your guys' questions that are in here right now. While we're waiting for those to come through, I'll show you guys again the house. One of my favorite things every single St. George Day, Sant Jordi. You can see that right there. But if you do have any questions about the day, I think we covered most of it. The books, why the roses, why the flags. You got to see it a little bit. More than anything, like I said, for everybody who wants to be here in Barcelona for my favorite day to be here, you guys, hopefully now to feel like you got a little bit of taste of it. We got a beautiful day out here. People living in the building in front of, in the Plaza Catalonia where we were. Most of those are like office buildings. So what we saw were like even banks. The FNAC bookstore is what's up top over there. Bunch of different offices. What I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna leave you the question, all right? This is the question that you need to answer. Now remember, in order to win, I'm gonna go buy the book right now. I'm gonna buy it in English, so I think everybody can read it. Here's what you need to do, just to remind everybody. Make sure you subscribe to Patrick Guide Barcelona. Hit subscribe just below. If you haven't done the like already, make sure you hit that like button if this gave you any sort of value. But subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram at Patrick Guide Barcelona, all one word. The link is in the description below as well. But if you go onto Instagram and follow me and then message me the answer to this question, all right? So subscribe to both of those channels and then DM me on Instagram. This is where we can get back and forth with those messages and everything. If you have any other questions as well, what you guys need to answer is the first Sant Jordi here. What was the date of the first Sant Jordi? I want the month, the day, and the year. The date of the first Sant Jordi, all right? If you don't remember, I already told you in the video. If you don't remember, I've already told you guys, but if you need a refresher, I'm not gonna remind you right now, you do have that video about the history of St. George that I uploaded just yesterday, so you guys can check that out as well to find the answer to it. But I want the month, the day, and the year. Raffle will close at 5 p.m. Chicago time, midnight here in Barcelona. And then the winner will be announced tomorrow. I'll make an announcement on Instagram tomorrow, and then I'll privately message that person as well. So those are the three things that you need to do. Like and follow here, follow over on Instagram, DM me the answer to when was the first day that we celebrated St. George, month, day, and year. All right? Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you had a good time, saw everything, got to experience maybe your first Sant Jordi as well. If you have any other questions, leave those in the comments below. But you guys, thank you, everybody. I'll see you next time on any of those other videos. Enjoy your day. Feliz Sant Jordi.